fun 12 by 12 paper project for you today. This is a fun little folio. It uses roughly 2 to 3 sheets of 12 by 12 paper, two-sided 12 by 12 paper. You can also use single-sided paper and then just line the inside of the folio if you want, or leave it with the white color. So on the front here, we have a little cluster. This is a piece of coffee dyed linen that I stamped with the word journal, and then I just zigzag stitched the cluster together. This is another cluster that I had in my stash, and I just added that to the front. We have a 1/4 inch spine, and I have 2 small eyelets here with some seam binding threaded through, which holds the signature on the inside. You open it up and you have a flap here on either side with a pocket. This one has another pocket here. You could also use a belly band. We have 2 pockets here, 2 pockets here, and then a signature that you can take out and replace if you need to. This opens up to reveal a second pocket. All right, and I'm not going to add ephemera and all that to it. This is just how to construct the base of the folio. It lays fairly flat. Now, if you fill it up with a whole bunch of stuff, you might want to consider adding a closure on here. I'm not, for purposes of this video. So what you're going to need is some 12 by 12 paper. I'm using paper from Asuka Studio called Dusty Blue Floral. And other things that you're going to need are decorations for the front. I've picked out a few things, and I'm not sure what I'm going to use. These 2 are from Artie Mae's, part of a declutter sale that she had, or de-stash. And this is a little cluster that I made with paper and some coffee dyed linen, just like on the other one. We need some lace to decorate our pockets with, some seam binding, some string to close that flap on the inside. So we also need 2 of these little things to wrap our string around, 2 small brads, and 2 eyelets. We need glue, and we need some distress inks. If you want to do that, you don't have to. That's optional. You're going to need a paper trimmer and a scoreboard. And if you want to reinforce the spine of this folio, you need to use some tape. I'm going to be using probably this blue one since it matches, but this is just cellophane tape that I dyed with alcohol inks. Let's see what else. Scissors, you know, the standard stuff. Okay. Cut out all of your papers to as square as possible as you can get to 12 by 12. And that can just be achieved by trimming off the branding strip on the bottom. All right. I've chosen this paper to be on the outside. And what we want to do is score. And I've already done that on this. We want to score at 5 7/8 and 6, and I just did that wrong. Let's get another sheet. We want to score at 5 7/8 and 6 1/8. Okay, and that gives us a little spine. We want to turn 1 turn. And guys, please pay attention to the direction. If you've got directional papers that you're using, that, you know, your top is at the top and your bottom is at the bottom. Then we're going to score on this side at 3 inches. And that will become some of the pockets on the inside. All right. I'm going to go ahead and fold that. I'm going to fold our spine. so there we have a little 1/4 inch spine. The next thing we want to do is remove this section right here, the spine that we scored. We want to remove that section so our pockets have room to fold inside. And I'm going to ink that just so that I can see the fold lines really good. All right, so I hope you can see that. So we're going to cut out this section right here. And we want to do the cutting on the outside of this line, not on the inside or on it, on the outside. Turn that up. Okay, and then these become the pockets, the bottom pockets on the inside, which are these pockets right here and here. So you want to make sure that you have clearance on that fold. And I think I'm going to trim just a tiny, a smidge more off of there. Just a little sliver. Let's see if that works a little bit better. That's good, and that's good. All right, I'm going to go ahead with the two pockets together, and we are going to cut a thumb notch right here in the center. Sorry for reaching. I'm just eyeballing this, something I'm not very good at. Okay, and then we're going to round our corners. You don't have to do this part. I just think it looks nicer. All right, now we don't want to glue these pockets down yet because we need to attach our flaps. So I'm going to take the other sheet of paper, and on this one I'm going to keep the inside consistent. So we want to put a flap here. Let me again ink these so you can see it better. And I hope this striped paper is not doing funny things to the video. Sometimes it does. All right, so there's our line. The next thing that we want to do is create our outside flaps. And to do that, we're going to score a 1/2 inch line on this side and a 1/2 inch line on this side. And they'll just fit on here and fold in, okay? Let's go ahead and do that. Half inch here. And a 1/2 inch here. Now we want our flap to end right here, so I'm going to mark a place on the paper to cut that. And it should be roughly about 3 inches. But don't assume that. Just mark it and then cut it. So that is right at 3 inches. Perfect. And then these cutoffs will become an additional pocket. All right, so put those aside. That's one flap. These should be exactly the same. So I'm going to cut 3 inches off the bottom of that one. Put that aside. I don't know how directional this paper is. That looks right. All right, so we've got our flap for this side and our flap for this side. I'm going to miter those corners so that they fit nicer. And round the corners here. So that's that. All right, now I'm going to go ink this section and this section and then come right back. Everything's inked, and now we can attach these flaps. I am going to use art glitter glue, but use whatever glue you prefer. This is the second time that I am making this tutorial. I did a video, loved the way it turned out, edited it, tried to upload it, and it failed. It kept freezing up. So I decided that I'd have to start from scratch again, which is fine. And here's another thing. Make sure that you don't interfere with that pocket. Yeah, make sure everything folds up nicely. And just give that a re-ink. All right, let's do this side. All right, so let's take these two leftover pieces and cut them down to also fit in here and get those glued as well. All right, so I think it would be pretty to use this side too. Yeah, I think this already had a score line in it. I think that if we score this down again, cute little pocket right there that has a little bit more room in it. So let's do that. That already has one. Let's turn it around. Has one right there. So we're good to go. Let me just give that one a little bit more oomph. Do the same thing with this one. And then we won't have to trim anything off. They'll already fit. Let me go ahead and ink these. Okay, one of these is wider than the other one. And I want them to be the same. So let me just trim that down so that they work. Rescore that. All right, that looks good. And let's go ahead and put a thumb notch there. All right, we're going to miter the corners. So you want to put these down. It's okay if tall things are in this bottom pocket and go over top, but you want to make sure you put this pocket down far enough where you can get something in there. All right, so here's our fold line here and our fold line here, and we'll try to roughly get that in the middle. And it looks about right, so let's get that glued down. Looks good. All right, so the base is done. So the next thing we want to do, and I forgot to put my tape down, crap. I was getting ready to put my tape down and the doorbell rang, and it was my exterminator who had come to spray a very large wasp nest that I had under my deck. This is not going to show, so no worries if you do the same thing that I just did. So I'm going to center this over the spine. I'm going to cut about right there. And just give that a good burnish. And now we're just going to glue that back down. Sorry, you probably can't see this. All right. I don't like that. Let me go ahead and trim that off. I thought it would be okay, but it's not. So we're really crafting here, guys. I'm showing you all the mistakes. Let me trim that side. So when you see somebody making these mistakes, then the likelihood that you will make them is probably slim to none. But everything can be fixed. Everything. All right, guys. Good as new. The key when you make mistakes like this, especially when you use an art glitter glue, is that it dries so fast that the longer you wait, the harder it is to lift off your pieces. Let me give this some more. All right, so there, now we have our base. The next thing that we want to do is put a pocket here on this flap. And if you want a little more room, I didn't do that on this one, but if you want a little more room in the folio, you can score another 1/8 of an inch line here, and it gives you a tiny little spine. I did it on this one. I will tell you it's a little bit fussy to fold a little tiny spine like this, so that's an option. So when you score your 1/2 inch for your hinge, you score another 1/8 of an inch here, and that'll give you that tiny little spine. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave it like it is. So let's go ahead and put a pocket here on the outside, just like we did the other one. And so now I'm going to pull out some more paper. This is 2-sided paper, so it's like, what are we going to use? Let me see what I got. I really like these polka dots. I think I'm going to go with that. I don't do a whole lot of measuring on these things. Make your pocket, this is going to be an angled pocket, so make it as tall as you want. I'm going to go to about right there. And I want to pencil in the width of my pocket, and I'm going to go ahead and trim that. So if my pocket goes about up that high, you want to pencil the bottom where you want to cut. And then again, without measuring, this is the bottom of my pocket. I want it to go up about 1 inch or so. Again, I'm not measuring, I'm just going to cut at an angle from the tip of the top of the pocket down. Put that aside because we might be able to use it. I want the exact same pocket over here on this side. Okay, so I'm going to put these two together. And just kind of mark where I want to cut. So there's that pocket and that pocket. And I think that looks really pretty. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and ink these and come right back. Okay, let's go ahead and get these glued down. Now, like I did on these, we're going to put some lace along the edge. And I have pulled this out. And for this, we need to pull out our Fabri-Tac. Oh, nice. All right, so there's those two pockets. So when we have here, we open up and we have a little small pocket here, and we can do that. You could also, like I said before, put a belly band. Do whatever you want. So let's go ahead and take care of that. I do have these extra pieces left over, so I think we're just going to go ahead with that. Okay. Get that glued down. All right, so now we're ready to make this part right here. So I'm going to use the rest of this polka dot paper. So we want to measure, let's see, there's our fold right there. I want to come to the inside of that and to the inside of the edge here and make a mark. I'll go ahead and cut that down. You want to score a 1/2 inch for the hinge at the top of the flap. Go ahead and miter those. Make sure it fits in there, and that looks good. We need to round this corner right here to match that. Let's see. I'm just checking to make sure everything folds properly and it looks good. All right, so I don't want my flap to go all the way to the bottom, so we're going to trim it off. We want to leave enough of this paper to make a pocket. So I think I'm going to bring it down to about right here. Let's do right there. That looks better. Trim that off. Round these corners. Okay. So that goes there. And then we need a pocket about yay high. So we need to cut that off about right here. And trim that off. I want this bottom edge to be rounded. Oops, wrong slot. Okay, and then we want to put a notch in. So that will go here. That'll go here, but before we attach anything down, we want to put our little brads in so we have a way to close that up. So these two things, we need to put those on. So I have made these in advance. Okay, so you want to just kind of figure out where you want everything to go. And let's figure out where our center is and make a mark. Probably take it up about that high. And 3, 3. I think that looks good. So we're just going to make a little mark right there. Punch a hole. I have one of these that I made out of some fairly thick chipboard. Just use my craft knife to cut a section out. And the purpose of that is so that you don't put your brad all the way flush and you have room to add your string. Okay, so I'm going to get everything in there. I'm going to slide this over, turn it over, and we're going to, whoops, it fell out. Get that in there, slide it on, and just lay those little give it a good press. Now we want to cover this up with something decorative because you don't want that showing on the other side. So I'm going to put a, let's see, on this one I used a butterfly sticker, so I think I'm going to do the same thing for that. I'll tell you what, let's do this. We've got this extra paper left over. Let's cut out a circle. This is really good paper, so I'm going to just glue that down over the top. The colors, since it all came out of the same kit, are going to match really good. Don't remove this until you finish pressing. Okay, now we can take that out. And now we have plenty of room in there to add our string. All right. I'm going to go ahead and ink both of these pieces, and then we'll finish adding everything to the folder. Okay, I have inked both pieces and attached the flap. I think that looks pretty good. So now we want to make sure that our pocket and everything lines up, that everybody's playing nice in the sandbox together, which they are. So we'll go ahead and now add this second, which I have now lost. Oh, there it is. We want to line this up. I don't do any measuring for this. I just eyeball it. And that looks pretty good. We don't want to glue the pocket down until we finish this part. So I'm going to pick this up and then punch a hole through. Get our little brad. Stick it in there. Again, we're going to get our little handmade tool here. Push it in. Let's turn that over and spread those little things out. Give it a good press. And I'm going to add some masking tape over top of this. It's not going to show, so it doesn't matter. You don't want anything catching on that when you're sliding things in and out of the pocket. Again, leave this in until you get everything pressed down good. Burnish that down. Okay. Now we can take that out and then we can glue our pocket down. All right. Let's go ahead and add our string. And guys, we are almost there. I usually do about 3 wraps. All right, guys, so that looks really good. I have a great big mess here. All right, so the only thing we have left to do now is to put our eyelets in for our signature. So this is where we are so far. Looking good. So I'm going to mark where I want to place my eyelets. Can't even see that one. Let me get an ink pen. All right, I can see that one. Let's get our crocodile and go ahead and punch holes. I'm using the 1/8 inch. And then we're going to add our little eyelets. All right, I just ruined that one, so I'm going to pluck that out and get a new one. So I'll be right back. Okay, that little mangled mess came out pretty easily, so we're good to thread our seam binding through. And this is from My Scrap Cabin on Etsy. And I'll try to remember to leave a link below to her Etsy shop. Binding. Now, I try to flatten this out so it's not so twisty. And we want to tie this tight, but not so tight that we curl up both ends, okay? So I'm putting a lot of tension on there, but not too much. And I'm going to tie a knot. And then tie a bow. And you can slide your bow up and down if you want it at the top or in the middle. It's up to you. All right, so there's the inside completely finished, ready for all your fun goodies. Okay. So now on the front, like I said, I have this, and then I have these two. That's not going to go, so put that over there. I like this, though. Let's go ahead and get those glued down. Oh my goodness, that is just so pretty. I love that. If you ever are lucky enough to catch her when she's doing a D-stash, jump on it, because she sells out very, very quickly. And they're so useful. All right, and so then I'm just going to borrow the signature from this other one. And it just slides in. You can, of course, staple these pages together or sew them, however you want to do that. So I am happy with that in there, so I don't see so much of that blue tape now. It doesn't look so bad. Okay, guys. So there you go. It's still got plenty of room to put some fun things in. This is good size to carry on a trip or give as a gift. You can, like I said, you can fill it up with all sorts of lovelies. And we used 3 sheets of double-sided 12 by 12 paper, and this is what we have left over. So if you're like me and hoard 12 by 12 papers, I don't know why I do that. This is a good way to use them up. So if you have any questions about anything you saw me do, please leave your question in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to answer them. I'll also leave a link to Andrea at Artie Mae's, her Ko-fi site and her Etsy shop and her website. And let's see what else. I'll link my video where I make vintage tape. So if you are curious how to do that, you can watch that video. And I think that's it. But again, if you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section below. Okay, guys, I hope you have an awesome day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.